就随便看看。接下来的比赛就随便看看了。2-2了。今年真的很难啊，又是跟朗格纳洛克搏命的，去年也是跟朗格纳洛克搏的命吧。去年我记得好像是 Q2赢的朗格纳洛克，最后送李培南出的线。去年，今年要想出又是要2比3、3-2或者2比3，但命运还是在自己手里，他能赢朗格纳洛克，他就能出线。但是要明天呢，明天生死战。明天生死战，明天生死战。现在的积分情况，我跟大家说啊，就是他们这个组的积分情况：朗格纳洛克2比1 ，Q2 2比1，克莱姆2比1，李培南2-2。哦，不对 ，Q2 可能3-1了 ，Q2 3-1，克莱姆2-1，李培南2-1，朗格纳洛克2-1。现在朗格纳洛克1比0领先克莱姆，这是什么情况？我靠，这个组他妈的有点难受啊！朗格纳洛克1比0领先克莱姆，李培南2-2，李培南2-2，现在是。如果克莱姆输了的话，克莱姆也是2-2，朗格纳洛克变成3-1。而且他小分很高，朗格纳洛克小分巨高。哎呦，那李培南难受了，因为克莱姆明天克莱姆打邦尼，李培南打朗格纳洛克。李培南现在是0分，小分是0分。克莱姆如果输0-2的话，克莱姆也是0分。那明天就是李培南打朗格纳洛克，克莱姆打邦尼，最后拼小分。如果赢的话就拼小分。李培南-1分，不对，李培南是-1分。现在他还没有刷新啊。李培南-1分。朗格纳洛克赢了吗？朗格纳洛克2比0克莱姆。这场已经没有意义了，这场版本这场已经没有意义了。我跟大家看一看现在积分啊，刷新出来了，现在的积分是李培南2-2，克莱姆2-2，克莱姆正1分，李培南-1分。如果明天克莱姆2-1，他就出现了。克莱姆只要赢就出现，克莱姆明天赢就出现，李培南2比0都不一定能出现。李培南没了，这个已经没了，没了，除非 Q2 明天0-2，也不行，他的胜负关系是输的，没了，李培南没了，没了。GG 了，结束了，没了，怎么算都没了。你只有一种可能，明天邦尼跳起来，妈的把克莱姆弄了。但是不对呀，邦尼弄了克莱姆，是不是邦尼出现了？我看一看啊。哎，不对呀，邦尼把克莱姆弄了，邦尼出现，李培南被淘汰了，我操！邦尼这个2比0，哎，邦尼2比0打完，邦尼2-2 0分，对不对？邦尼2-2 0分，那只有一种可能，明天只有一种可能出现。就是邦尼2-1，邦尼2比1，然后李培南2比0，然后胜负关系李培南出现，这是唯一的机会，理论上的唯一机会，理论上唯一机会就是邦尼2-1克莱姆。 唯一机会啊！没了，这两个0-2太伤了。里佩南一个小分没拿到，今天。这两个0-2真的太伤了。没了，这个真出不了线的，没啥好算的，出不了线的。有点没啊，有点没。哎，算了。摄像头也关了，算了。
Yeah, it's like with this push, if he got out in front of it and was kind of there. The Vikings really nicely played by Bunny. That was just so decisive.
出不了线的。这个0-4太伤了。那反而是邦尼把自己的。把自己的这个叫做命运掌握在自己手里了。邦尼只要明天获胜，他就能出线。明天李培南必须2-0。
대엽이 형 군대 가기 전에 너무 많이 졌어가지고 사실 대엽이 형 만나면 좀 두렵거든요. 하도 져가지고.
夜蝶今天晚上挺晚的，夜蝶的比赛。今天12点钟还有鸡哥的比赛。
레더에서도 많이 이겨가지고 자신 있었어요.
I mean, before Stats went to military, I mean he was.
邦尼2-0就邦尼已经出现了，邦尼2-0就直接出现。你算分你怎么算都是邦尼2-0出现。
But my TVP was great lately, and I was good on practice, so yeah, I tried to show my practice, and I think it went well.
邦尼是-1分吗？
I would say it went well. The audience agrees.
邦尼-1分。邦尼现在-1分，跟李培南一样的，-1分，-1分，克莱姆正1分。明天邦尼只要赢，邦尼只要赢，李培南也赢就行了。但是呢，前提是李培南邦尼2-0，李培南就2-0，邦尼2-1，李培南就2-1。反正不管吧，就是赢了再说嘛，之类的。但我觉得他赢不了朗格纳诺克。
Oh, it was a trap that you laid. Very nicely done, and picking up a 2-0 to head on further into your group.
那克莱姆只要赢了，克莱姆就出线的，没什么戏，我觉得戏还是很低，没什么。哎，他关键赢朗格纳诺克也赢不了呀，我感觉。今天这个0-4太伤了。他们如果小分一样，胜负关系，小分一样就看胜负关系的呀。
So I really want to get a 2-0 victory, clean victory, and want to advance to the elimination match.
Oh, Bunny, you're quite popular with our audience here. A lot of people looking to.
邦尼为什么出不了线呀？邦尼出得了线呀？邦尼为什么出不了线？邦尼如果明天，如果邦尼赢了，2-0或者2-1，那李培南输了，邦尼就出线了呀。邦尼为什么出不了线呀？邦尼明天肯定是全力以赴呀，他机会很大呀，明天。Q 其实明天没什么压力 ，Q 明天是打那个 Q 打8本，明天。
Thank you, Rachel. Yes, unfortunately for Stats, that's his road coming to an end here at the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. But for Bunny, it's not done just yet. Loco joining me here alongside Wardy, but look at that. In terms of a result coming in from this series,
Q 明天是打8本 ，Q 没什么压力 ，Q 赢8本随便赢。李培南真的，但凡拿一个小分都不会那么被动。这个打克莱姆那场太伤了。
And overall, I really liked what he did. He had one crazy drop on the main base. Yeah.
对，邦尼如果输了，克莱姆就出现了。邦尼 帮你只要输就没了。
Phoenixes were just slightly.
Yeah, he knew he could do it, and he played it right, and he got so much out of it. So, just well played. I think the Bunny we expect to see aggressive on the front foot, always kind of being the momentum maker, and then Stats obviously just couldn't get to the point where we know Stats can obviously play a good game because we've seen it this event.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, let's take a look at the standings then here from this.
打 Q 这个就是你整个过程你没什么机会，所以你没什么好遗憾的。打 Clem 这场就真的是机会挺大的，然后输了。你看现在这个分真的是咬得很紧，明天生死战。明天真的是生死战的，明天。唯一被淘汰的就是把本。
Bit of a cheesy series, not gonna lie, but it's Shin who ends up defeating Clem 2-0, and that, well, it turns this entire group upside down.
No, definitely so, definitely so. We'll see at the conclusion of that tomorrow.
感谢球奶 ZZY 明年诸事不顺的一个飞机感谢兄弟。明天就打出风采吧，不用去算别人的分了，就他妈的自己2-0再说。
Right now with that 3-1 situation, Bunny and Oliveira down here. Now, what's important
about
this, obviously, Clem's already qualified to the World Cup. If you were to kind of speculate as to who you think might have a better chance out of these four, who are you looking at? You can move things around if you like.
Well, you know what? Shin did go to the semifinals last year.
Yes.
I mean, I'll let you.
把本唯一赢的一个小分就是李佩南，妈拉个鸡的，这一个小分也很伤。把本别的没干，就干了李佩南一个小分。
Going to come down a little bit to the bracket. I think obviously out of Group B, I mean maybe the obvious choice, but Kua is obviously edging up there as well because realistically he's in a great spot right now. He's 3-1. His last opponent is Stats as well. If he takes down Stats, that's pretty much first place unless Shin also takes down Oliveira. That can happen, but maybe he loses a map there. So I think it's more likely currently that Kua gets first place in the group, and then he's only got one more match to go. Yeah, Oliveira, you think?
Imagine
he's got a dangerous matchup, man. He's got a Shin who just lost, who just took out.
你拿起来搞毛啊！他你妈86已经下山了，都不是上山，86都变尸体了。86。感谢球奶升不到海德堡博士的一个飞机，感谢兄弟。
Even if Shin beats Oliveira, maybe he drops him. I'm not sure exactly what the numbers are, but that could influence the first place. And of course, first is huge because starting in the round of 8 is massive.
等勋哥来吧。
Absolutely frank for a moment. If I look at these four players, who I think has the best chance, I think it's Kua.
I think so too.
Yeah, we'll see if that happens.
Yeah.
All right. That was the wall.
You guys have got to dance back. Yeah, very nice.
Maybe I shouldn't give us a jingle. I don't want that to stick. That's not a good idea. But I mean, yeah. I mean, looking at how that plays out for Group B, I mean, of course, we might not have a player from Group B at all. Of course, we're still waiting for those quarterfinals. Those are the qualifications.
86已经报废了啊
！As we kind of continue things on, but it is interesting to see how all of this is shaping.
86翻车了，
a lot of dynamics at play.
Yeah. I think most people that did predictions did not have this particular outcome of the group in mind, right? Shin in first place. I mean, one thing he's got going for him here is that obviously he mostly has to practice Zerg versus Terran, and that really does make things a little bit easier, whereas the other players have to practice all 3 matchups. So I'm curious to see how he would play against, for example, another Zerg, but yeah. Honestly, overall, this is a crazy result. I'm with you. I think that Kura is very likely to move on, but who's going to be taking third?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. All right, well, that kind of does it here for this segment. We are waiting now until we get into our next matches. We are done with Group B, as we mentioned, for today, but that group is not concluded. Tomorrow, we will have one final series between all of these players to determine who's going to be able to make that top 3. Remember, the first place does advance on into a quarterfinal, whereas the other players move on into that round of 12. We're going to go to a break, I believe. And then when we return, we have more excellent StarCraft on the way, and maybe us messing around with the board some more, because it's really fun. We'll see you soon.
接下来是 A 组的比赛了啊，随便看看的。A 组我们要等到11点左右了，11点12点左右才有鸡哥的比赛。